This video will cover the key concepts of Unit 1.2 types of business entities in less than 10 minutes. So all businesses operate in either the public or the private sector. The public sector is the part of the economy that is owned and operated by the government. So this typically includes organizations that the government deems to be essential for its citizens. Some examples here might include education, like public schools, healthcare, public hospitals, and emergency services like the police department or the fire department. Now, by contrast, the private sector is part of the economy that is owned and operated by private individuals or private organizations. So they're not at all affiliated with the government. These organizations typically aim to earn a profit. However, keep in mind that not all businesses want to earn a profit. We'll discuss these types of businesses later on. There are a number of for-profit business organizations that you need to know. And these are the sort of main four types of business entities that very commonly get tested in tests and exams. The first is sole traders, which is a type of business owned and operated by just one person. So sole traders have complete control and autonomy over how their business is run. And this means that decision making is quick and that they get to keep all the profits as they're the only owner of the business. At the same time, sole traders are the ones who have to take on all the financial risk themselves, and they have to take on all the responsibility of running the business themselves as they are the only owner and decision maker in the business. These firms also have unlimited liability, which means the personal assets of the business are not separated from the owner. The next type of business entity are called partnerships. These types of organizations are owned and operated by at least two people, and we refer to them as partners. So these partners are the owners of the business, and they're the ones who are in charge of decision making. Some advantages of this type of entity include that it leads to shared workloads and responsibilities, which makes running the business easier. At the same time, they can also benefit from the various skill sets and expertise of the different partners. So as an example, think of a doctor who is a heart specialist and another one who is an eye specialist. Because they focus on different areas, if they combine and they run their business as a partnership, together they have the potential to see more patients as they have different areas of coverage. On the other hand, partnerships also suffer from unlimited liability, so the personal assets of the partners are not separate to that of the business. The next type of organization is called a corporation, which is a legally incorporated business that has limited liability. Legally incorporated means that the business has a separate legal identity to its owners and is a registered business. These businesses are owned by their shareholders, who all have limited liability. Limited liability means that they can only lose what they put into the business and not their personal assets. There are two types of corporations that you need to know. The first is a privately held company. These are corporations that have limited liability where shares are typically owned by family and friends of the founders. These shares are not available to the general public. The second type of organization is a publicly held company. So these are corporations that also have limited liability, but they're listed on the stock market, meaning that anyone from the general public can buy and sell shares freely. The greatest benefit is that these firms can easily access a large source of finance because they are traded publicly. However, the owners of the business are diluted as anyone can buy and sell shares, and therefore anyone can have ownership control over the business. This means that owners have less control over the business compared to privately held companies. The next set of organizations you need to know are called social enterprises. So these organizations tend to have a social or environmental goal at the core of their business operations. And that also means that they're not just focused on generating a profit for shareholders. These social enterprises can either be for-profit or non-profit. Now, in terms of for-profit social enterprises, they can exist in both the public sector and the private sector, meaning they can be owned and operated by either the government or by private individuals. One specific for-profit social enterprise that you need to know are called cooperatives. So these cooperatives are firms that are owned and run by the members for the members. So what this means is rather than aiming to generate maximum profit, they aim to provide value-add services for the members. As an example here, an agricultural cooperative might discuss the most effective farming techniques for small farmers in order to help them maximize their output. In the context of these cooperatives, all members get equal voting rights, and additional profits are typically reinvested into the cooperative so that all members can benefit. However, these cooperatives tend to have limited resources as they're not profit driven, and they depend on the availability of capital and the time or effort contributed by members, so they might have a limited impact. Now, the last key concept here relate to non-profit social enterprises. And so these are organizations that aim to generate some sort of community impact without focusing on generating profit. So profit is not a goal of one of these organizations. It is important to note here that these firms must still be mindful of their costs. So they must find a way to cover their costs to continue operating, but they do not operate in a commercial way. So in other words, they don't sell goods and services to customers. So even though these firms don't aim to generate a large profit, they need to find a way to ensure that they can sustain their operations and cover their costs. Otherwise, the business cannot continue to operate. For a more detailed explanation for any of these types of organizations in this video, their features, advantages, and disadvantages, check out the detailed review video we have on this topic on our website, which will go through all of these concepts in more detail. That concludes the key concepts for this topic. We recommend you use these steps as part of your study routine. Pay particular attention to steps 2 and 3, as this is something overlooked by many BM students. Practicing case studies and developing application skills is the best way for you to improve your grade in BM, as all your school tests and the final exam are case study based. To practice these skills and access more detailed videos on BM content, please check out the resources on our website, diplomaly.org. If you need any support with any part of the BM course, including the IA or EE, feel free to get in touch with us via email or WhatsApp. Best of luck with your study.